Welcome to Animals of the Irish. George Fox was born in Finney Drayton, England. Fox became increasingly disillusioned with religious life at the time. He left Finney Drayton in 1643 at the age of 19 in search of spiritual enlightenment. He found little help from any church. On his travels, Fox would have also encountered many other seekers who, like him, felt the churches had become bogged down with traditions, rituals, and politics, and seemed to be giving contradictory messages. At age 23, he felt himself in the depths of despair and apparently heard a voice with the words saying, "There is one, even Jesus Christ, that can speak to thy condition." He later wrote, "When I heard it, my heart did leap for joy." Thus, Fox's message was born. Everyone can make direct connections with God without the intervention of a priest, minister, or pastor. This led to a desire to bring about a sort of renewal of Christianity through a return to early pre-church Christianity, and to find a way to live out Jesus' message more simply. In due course, Fox's followers called themselves the Religious Society of Friends. Many, including Fox, suffered persecution and imprisonment for their beliefs. Fox and other members of the new Society of Friends moved throughout England, Europe, and America, preaching their message, and what was it? Equality of all, the ability of each to make direct contact with the divine, the need to live simply, the unacceptability of using violence of any sort. Friends were to be simple, plain, honest, industrious, courageous. In their vision of the world they wish to create, the poor will be cared for. There will be no tale-bearing or detraction. There will be no swearing of oaths, since Friends declare they live with integrity, and will therefore always be truthful. The first Quaker in Ireland is believed to have been William Edmundson, who was convinced of the truth. While on a trip to England around 1653, on his return, Edmundson made several converts, and Irish Quakers held their first meeting in Mount Mellick in 1659. George Fox came to Ireland in 1669, and the early Quakers, which was their nickname, hoped Quakerism would become the dominant religion. When George Fox died in 1689, their Society of Friends numbered tens of thousands and totaled about 1% of England's population. Although this fell short early Quakers' dreams, this is still an incredibly rapid expansion. The Society of Friends had also expanded in the early 1680s across the Atlantic Ocean to the east coast of British America, with William Penn, who established Quaker governance in his territory of Pennsylvania and became a haven for religious and political tolerance. According to Quaker principles, which had no army for decades. The first permanent Quaker meeting house in Ireland was built in 1709. In 1786, a small group of Quakers built a boarding school to provide an education for the children of poor Quaker families. Four Quaker schools remain in Ireland today. Quakers in Ireland have a long history of helping sovereign people, beginning after the Battle of the Boyne in 1690. In the 1798 rebellion against English rule, Irish Quakers refused to carry guns, tried to dissuade the two sides from fighting, and provided food, shelter, and medical aid to both sides. When Ireland suffered during the Great Hunger, Irish Friends appealed to Quakers in England and America to provide food and clothing. Soup kitchens were set up, and the Quakers deemed forced conversion. They just helped, but to them it was the right thing to do. Altogether, during the Great Hunger, the Quakers raised £200,000 in aid. The Cork Street Fever Hospital in Dublin was founded by Quakers in the early 19th century. The Royal Hospital in Donnybrook, Dublin was also originally a Quaker hospital. Many Irish businesses, such as Jacobs, the biscuit manufacturers, Malcolmsons, the shipbuilders, and Goodbody's, the flour millers, had Quaker origins. Quakers were involved in building the first railway in Ireland from Dublin to Kingstown. In 1876, a Quaker couple, Anna and Thomas Haslam, founded the Dublin Women's Suffragette Association, the original membership of which was predominantly Quaker. In 1965, Victor Bewley of Bewley's Cafe in Dublin began to work to change the negative attitude towards the Irish traveller community. He provided a site for travellers on his farm and became secretary of the Dublin Committee for Travelling People, then chairman of the National Council. In 1969, when violence flared between the Protestant and Catholic communities in Northern Ireland, Ulster Quaker Service Committee, or the Service for short, was founded in response, working with volunteers to assist displaced and threatened families. In 1982, Quaker House Belfast set up to further the work of reconciliation and of befriending all parties in Northern Ireland. The intention was to provide an informal meeting place in a safe, neutral location where representatives could listen to the views of different parties and help them to make contact with one another. Particularly after the peace process began in the 1990s, a large part of the work involved informal, off-the-record meetings between politicians. Mo Mowlam, Secretary of State for Northern Ireland in the British government during this period, said in a lecture at Friends House, London, 2002, they did an incredible amount in a house where everyone knew they could be trusted. They told me who to listen to. Without them, my life would have been much tougher than it was. Following the signing of the Good Friday Agreement in 1998, the role of the Quaker House Belfast changed again to focus on community relations, dealing with the past, anti-racism, and dialogue with former combatants. Slán inis.